In this tutorial, we're going to create a tablecloth and a bedsheet. I'm starting off with a polygon cube, and I'm going to go over the inputs, and I'm going to bump up the subdivision width, height, and depth to 20. And you can see it's kind of neatly gone in and split this into all those different poly faces. Next, I'm going to go to my side view because I want to get rid of the bottom so that it's open at the bottom the way a tablecloth would be. I'll choose face, and I'm just going to pick a random group of faces. Now, if I pick them cleanly, you can see these two rows, and I want to go up further, I can hold down the shift, and if I hit the close bracket for HTML, it gathers in the extra faces a row at a time. If I go too far, I can hit the open bracket for HTML and reduce the selection. I'm going to stop about here. I'll hit delete, go back to my object mode, center my pivot, and I'm going to go to my perspective view. So you can see now that's open. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to start to make a rough edit, and I'm going to use the soft select to do this. I'll return to my orthographic side or front view, select my geometry, right click and choose vertex. I'm going to select the bottom row, and I'm going to hit B on the keyboard to access the soft select. I could start scaling these right now if I wanted to, so I'll go ahead and scale, but it's kind of affecting too much of the geometry. So I'm going to double click on the scale tool, and I'm going to go to soft select. And I'm going to reduce the number here until I start to see other colors appear on my geometry. Black would be less influenced, red, then yellow. So I'm going to click and drag and start to scale again. You can see now that it's scaling it out pretty softly up to about the top of where the table would be in the context of this tablecloth. I'll close out my soft select, I'll hit B on the keyboard, and I'll return back to my object mode. Now we're off to a pretty good start here, but I'd like to make this more realistic. As it drapes over the edge of the top here, there should be wrinkles or waves in the material. So we're going to add a number of tools to our shelf. I'm holding down Command Shift. I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, and I'm going to go to Sculpting Tools, and there's a whole row of them. I'm going to click on Sculpt tool at the top. It's an orange ball with a little bit of a white dash on top. Then I'm going to click on the Smooth, and then I'm going to click on the Grab tool. Now with these three, we're going to be able to do a pretty respectable job in modeling this way, the way we want. The key to this model is all these polygon faces, so you want to make sure that you're hiding all your content if you're on a computer that this could be demanding for, and make sure that you're saving frequently. All right, so we'll go ahead now and let's start to model this so it looks more like a tablecloth. I'm going to double click on this first icon we put on our dock, and it's going to bring up the menu for the Sculpt tool. At the very top, you'll see size and strength. The size is the size of the brush. You can see that circle. And the strength is how much influence it will have when I paint over it and it starts to pull that geometry. So I'm going to leave these settings I have here now because as long as I leave this window up, I can always go back and adjust those. I'm going to make the brush a bit smaller because maybe these wrinkles are going to be tighter and more frequently along our geometry. So I'm going to go and change my brush size. Now I can click and drag here, I can punch the numbers in, or I can hold down B on the keyboard in my viewport. Give it a little bit of influence. And if I drag left, it makes the circumference of that brush smaller. If I drag right, it makes it larger. I'll just go ahead and start the brush here, and you can see that it's got quite a bit of influence on it. I'll hit Command Z. And now I'm going to change the strength of that. I'm going to back that down maybe to about 0.5. The lower the better because you can always rework the area. So now I'll do that. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to hit my proxy on occasion to see what it actually will look like once it's smooth. So if you're working in 1, it's going to appear to be more severe than it really will be once we're done. So I'll hit 3 on my computer once again. This is all contingent upon the strength of your CPU that you can actually work in that proxy vision. And I would go around here And I'm starting to make it a little bit more organic by not making it perfectly straight. I can continue to work those areas. Now, if it's too severe, I can now click on the little circle tool that's half orange, half gray. And with that, I can go in and I can start to smooth out areas that might be too severe. Once again, the brush menu now reflects the weight and size of that brush. And I can adjust these for as much influence and size that I might want. Okay, so I'm going to back that brush up. You can see how radical it can be when it's just a few points. And once again, I can hold down B once I see my cursor, drag left to minimize the size, or drag right to increase it. All right, now that's well on the way to what we want, but very often there'll be ripples that go up and down in our side view. That's where I'm going to click our last tool. If you put your cursor over, it'll tell you it's the grab tool. It looks like a little egg with a hat on it, I guess. And if I was to go down to the edge now and click and turn this so I'm at the right angle, I can start to pull that geometry out. And once again, if I wanted to, I could increase or decrease the strength as I needed. And I'll come around to the side. And I'll pull it up. So you can see you can do a pretty respectable job using those tools. I'll leave you to it from here, and next we'll take a look at making a bed sheet.